Your stomach is on fire. The stomach acid is burning your own intestines. You haven't eaten a single grain of food for the past 3 days. Your eyes lock onto a bush right in front of you, bearing incredibly beautiful, juicy red and purple fruits. The dewdrops dripping from those fruits are screaming at your brain to eat them, to save your life, but your hands are shaking. There is sweat on your forehead because you remember very well that exactly 4 days ago, the strongest hunter of your tribe ate a yellow fruit that looked just like this. First, his lips swelled up, then the veins in his eyes turned red, and before you knew it, he was writhing on the ground. White froth was coming out of his mouth, and his own fingers were clawing at his throat, as if he wanted to pull his own breath out. Just 10 minutes, and he was dead. Now you are standing in that same jungle. On one side is that juicy red fruit, and on the other side is a strange root buried in the ground, which a wild boar just finished eating. The boar is alive, which means maybe that root is safe. But is that root safe for humans too? Or should you try your luck by eating that red fruit? You don't have a smartphone. You don't have Google Lens to scan that fruit. There is no book. Your mother never told you that. Son, red fruits are poisonous because your mother didn't know either. What is in front of you is not just a fruit. It is the trigger of death. You reach your hand out, pluck the fruit, and bring it close to your mouth. The moment your teeth pierce the outer layer of that fruit, a new page of history is written. Either you will discover a new food for future generations, or you will become fertilizer in the soil of that jungle. Hold on. Look at this entire situation from the outside for a second. Today, in 2026, you and I live so comfortably, don't we? You sit back in your car seat, tear open a packet, and casually eat cashews, almonds, or kidney beans and rice without a second thought. We eat food for taste. If there is less salt, we complain. Man, the kidney beans weren't fun today. But have you ever, even for a moment, thought that every single bite, every single grain on your plate has reached you by walking over the dead bodies of someone else? It might sound strange, but on paper, this sounds absolutely absurd and impossible. Think about it. A human is a creature that neither has dangerous teeth like a lion, nor the speed of a cheetah, nor the acidic stomach of a vulture that can digest rotten meat. Biologically, we are very weak. Yet, today, humans eat almost every animal on this entire earth, from chickens to octopuses. Every kind of fruit, every kind of root, and every kind of dry fruit. But how is this menu prepared? Take the cashew, for example. The cashew you eat so fondly, its raw shell is so dangerous that it is filled with anacardic acid. If you break a raw cashew with your teeth, that acid will burn your mouth, your lips, and your throat to ashes, just like chemical acid does. So who was that first human? How crazy was he? Who looked at that burning, painful shell and didn't think to throw it away, but instead thought, if I roast this in fire, burn away its acid, maybe something tasty will come out from the inside. The story of almonds is even more terrifying. The sweet almonds we eat today didn't even exist in nature originally. Wild almonds are so bitter and contain so much cyanide that if you eat a handful of wild almonds, you will die instantly. So the question is, thousands of years ago, when humans had no laboratory, no microscope, no chemical testing kit, how did a naked, hairless, bipedal creature decode the chemical code of all the flora and fauna of this entire world? How did they know that if you eat red kidney beans raw, your intestines will start bleeding, but if you boil them in water for exactly 30 minutes, they become the world's best protein? This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a miracle. This was the biggest, longest, and bloodiest trial and error experiment in human history. A game of Russian roulette where money wasn't at stake, but life itself. And the answer lies in the time when the size of our ancestors' brains suddenly started growing. We think our ancestors just casually picked up a fruit, like a lottery, and ate it. If they survived, great. If they died, bad luck. But the truth is much deeper, more scientific, and far more terrifying. Millions of years ago, humans didn't have a lab, but nature sent them equipped with the world's most advanced and high-tech chemical testing machine, our own tongue. Today, when you say you don't like bitter gourd because it's bitter, you are not actually throwing tantrums. You are following your 2-million-year-old evolutionary software. Listen carefully. Our tongue was not designed to taste. It was designed as an alarm system. Nature's rule was very simple. Sweet means it has sugar, energy. Eat it. This will give you the strength to run and stay alive. Sour means this thing is rotten, has bacteria, or is unripe. Eat it with caution. Umami means it has protein and fat, which was necessary for the development of our brains. But the most important and the most dangerous alarm was bitter. In biology, there is a word, alkaloids. This is the plant's own personal biological weapon. Look, when an animal is in danger, it can run, fight, or hide. But what can a plant do? If someone comes to eat it, it can't run, right? That's why over thousands of years of evolution, plants started creating dangerous dangerous chemicals inside themselves so that whoever eats them dies, and the taste of these chemicals is bitter. Cyanide, ricin, solanine, these are all weapons of plants. When the first human put a poisonous leaf or fruit in his mouth, the receptors on his tongue must have immediately sent a terrifying emergency signal to the brain. Spit it out. This is poison. But the story doesn't end here. The story actually begins here. When there were droughts, when snow fell, and there was nothing to eat for weeks, hunger would override this bitter alarm. Humans were forced to eat the things that their bodies were rejecting. Now they had only one method of survival left: observation, meaning watching others. Early humans started spying on animals. They would hide and watch which fruits the monkeys were eating, which roots the pigs were digging up from under the ground and chewing. If the animal is alive after eating it, then maybe we can eat it too. But this method was a massive, lethal deception. Every creature in nature has a different digestive system. Some birds happily eat poisonous berries that, if eaten by a human, would shut down their nervous system in minutes. Many animals can digest leaves that would tear apart a human liver. So when copying animals also started causing deaths, humans created an incredibly cruel and terrifying system, a system that today is called the Universal Edibility Test. Whenever a new fruit or plant was found, one person from the tribe, perhaps the one who was the most hungry, or maybe the oldest person who had nothing left to lose, would put his life on the line. How was this test done? First, they would rub that plant on their skin and wait for hours. If there was no itching or burning, they would take a step forward. Then they would apply it to their lips. If the lips didn't go numb, they would place a very small piece of it on their tongue without chewing. If there was no reaction on the tongue, they would swallow it, and then for 8 to 12 hours, the whole tribe would sit around that person and wait. Just think about the suspense of that night. The whole tribe is awake. The person who ate that unknown fruit is also sitting terrified. Will his stomach cramp? Will he vomit? Will blood come out of his mouth? If that person remained alive and healthy until the next morning, that fruit would be added to the tribe's menu. But if he died a painful death in the darkness of the night, his corpse would become a book for that entire tribe. His death did not go in vain. His death gave birth to stories. Humans didn't invent language just to gossip. Language and stories were born for survival. Sitting around the burning fire in the caves, the elders would tell their children, "Don't touch the red bush across the river. Your great-grandfather ate it," and his eyes burst open. In this way, paying the price with one death at a time, one corpse at a time, humans created an invisible, unwritten dictionary over generations, the dictionary of life and death. But then, magic happened in this whole story, which changed everything forever. A thing that turned poison into nectar. That magic which saved humans from being slaves to nature was fire. We think the invention of fire was just to warm our hands in winter or to drive animals away. But no, from the perspective of evolutionary science, fire was our first external stomach. Fire did the job that our weak human stomach acid could never do. It broke down the molecular bonds of the world's most dangerous poisons. From here begins the terrifying game of humans with nature. Just think about the person who tried to eat a cashew for the first time. The cashew tree looks as simple as its fruit is deceptive. The thick, green, and brown shell on top of the cashew is actually a biological time bomb. Filled inside that shell is a deadly chemical named anacardic acid. This chemical is exactly like poison ivy. If a human or animal tries to break it directly with their teeth, that acid bursts straight into the face, lips, and throat and burns the skin alive. Horrific blisters, unbearable pain, and death. So how did humans crack this? Someday, a cashew fruit must have accidentally fallen into a forest fire. When that shell burns in the fire, the anacardic acid turns into vapor and flies away. But when that fire died down and a hungry human broke that blackened shell with a stone from among the burnt ashes, out came the creamiest, tastiest, and most calorie-dense treasure in the world, the roasted cashew. Fire had killed the poison, but fire alone was not enough. Some poisons were such that they did not die by burning in a dry fire. For them, boiling water was needed. Now look at your favorite kidney beans. The kidney beans you eat with rice with so much relish are a silent killer in their raw state. Raw red kidney beans contain a highly dangerous toxin called phytohemagglutinin. If you chew and eat just 4 or 5 raw kidney bean seeds, within a few hours you will have severe vomiting. The inner lining of your stomach will be damaged and your intestines will start bleeding. Now listen to the bizarre glitch of science here that must have blown the minds of ancient humans. If you cook kidney beans slowly at a low temperature, its poison doesn't die, but rather it becomes 5 times more toxic. Yes, you heard that right. Slowly cooked kidney beans will kill you faster. Its poison dies in only one way, when it is put in water and boiled at exactly 100 degrees for at least 30 minutes. Just think, in an era when there were no thermometers, no clocks. How did humans figure out that the red seeds shouldn't just be cooked, but they should be boiled until the water completely bubbles? How many corpses must have piled up to set this exact temperature and right timing? Fire killed many poisons, but some enemies were such that they didn't even die from fire. The weapon humans used against them was the greatest masterstroke of science: selective breeding, meaning genetic engineering without a lab. The most terrifying and mind-boggling story of this is of the almond. The almonds we eat today are sweet almonds, but thousands of years ago, sweet almonds did not exist in nature. Every almond was a bitter almond. Inside these bitter almonds is a chemical called amygdalin. When this chemical mixes with human saliva and the chewing process, it reacts and turns directly into hydrogen cyanide in the stomach. The same cyanide, which is the fastest and most dangerous poison in the world. If a child eats a mere 5 to 10 wild almonds, or an adult eats 15 to 20 almonds, the cyanide directly stops the oxygen supply to their cells. The human body starts suffocating from the inside, and within a few minutes, they turn blue and die a horrible death. So how did these cyanide-laced almonds end up in our sweet puddings today? Here, mutation played a role. Sometimes, a genetic mistake happens in nature. Among millions of bitter almond trees, one tree must have grown whose DNA had the amygdalin-producing gene turned off. When an ancient human, trembling with the fear of death, tasted the almond of that tree, it wasn't bitter, but sweet. And the biggest thing, after eating it, that human didn't die. Lightning struck in the mind of that early human. He ate those sweet almonds, and whatever seeds were left, he planted them in the ground. The trees that grew in the next generation were also sweet. Then, humans started cutting down and ignoring the bitter almond trees and started growing only sweet almonds. Humans didn't know what DNA was. They didn't know what cyanide was, but with their brain and observation, they hacked a deadly poison into a healthy superfood forever. What happens if the poison doesn't die by fire, and you don't have thousands of years for genetic hacking? Then humans discovered the third and longest way: processing and leaching. The most dangerous example of this is cassava, from which sago is made. The root of this cassava, found in the Amazon jungles, also contains a massive amount of cyanide. If you uproot it directly from the ground, roast it in the fire, and eat it, you will still die. Its poison is so stubborn that it doesn't die completely by fire. So what did the tribals living in those Amazon jungles do? They created a recipe that was nothing short of a science experiment. First, they peel that root. Then they grate it very finely. Then they put that grated paste into a long, snake-like basket and squeeze it hard so that all its toxic juice comes out. The dry paste that remains is left in flowing water for several days so that the water washes away the remaining poison with it. And then the white powder that is left is dried, made into bread, and eaten. Just think for a minute about the person who first created this 5-step process. If eaten in the middle, it means death, or a terrible disease called konzo, in which a person's legs are paralyzed forever. Without any guidebook, without any chemistry degree, how did they invent this multi-step chemical process? The answer is the desperation of starvation. When a human has nothing to eat, his brain finds ways for survival that would baffle even today's supercomputers. And similarly, whether it's the green poison of potatoes or the accusation of tomatoes being a poisonous apple, humans stared death in the eye and one by one added everything in the world to their menu. We defeated every poison of nature. We conquered that terrifying jungle. But did that really happen? Is that alarm system of our tongue, which used to save us from poison, still working today? Or have we corrupted our own biological software? After that bloody struggle of thousands of years, humans had learned to recognize poison and neutralize it. That software was completely installed in our DNA. Whatever is bitter is poison. Spit it out. But humans are the weirdest, most psychopathic, and rule-breaking creatures on this earth. When we cut down the jungles and built cities, when the threat to our lives ended, do you know what we did? We started mocking our own million-year-old defense mechanism. We started paying money to buy the very poisons that our ancestors lost their lives trying to avoid. Can't believe it? Just look at that cup of coffee you are holding in your hand. Why do you think the coffee plant created caffeine? So that you could wake up in the morning and go to the office? Absolutely not. In the world of biology, caffeine is a severe neurotoxin, a pesticide that the coffee plant evolved to kill insects. When an insect eats a coffee leaf or seed, this caffeine overloads the insect's nervous system. The insect's brain explodes, it gets paralyzed, and it dies a painful death. The coffee plant is screaming, "Stay away from me. I am a murderer." And what do we humans do? We pluck that poisonous seed, roast it over fire, grind it, and put it in boiling water to extract its poison. Then we drink that bitter biological weapon and say, "Ah, what a strong strong coffee. Now my brain will work. The same chemical that paralyzes an insect creates a mild shock in the large brains of humans, which we call energy or motivation. We have made a natural pesticide our morning routine. And why just coffee? Just think about the red chili. We humans are the only species in the world that pays to eat pain. The spiciness inside a chili is not a taste. According to science, spiciness does not even fall into the category of taste. Inside a chili, there's a chemical called capsaicin. When you eat a chili, this chemical hacks the sensors on your tongue that are actually meant to protect the body from fire or burning. The chili sends a false alarm to your brain saying, "Alert, your mouth is on fire. Your tongue is burning." Your brain panics. It starts sweating. Tears flow from the eyes. The heartbeat speeds up. This is a survival response. The plant created this capsaicin so that no mammal would eat it because their teeth grind the chili seeds. But what did humans do when our brain realizes that the mouth is not actually on fire? This is just a chemical deception. In response to this terrifying false alarm, the brain releases a feel-good hormone called endorphins. We start enjoying that pain. We sit at a diner and say, "Brother, add a little more chili to the chicken." Nature made chili a weapon. We made it a spice. And the biggest betrayal we have done is with our liver in the form of alcohol. The smell of rot is nature's biggest red flag. No animal eats rotten, fermented fruit. But humans saw that when a fungus called yeast eats the sugar of fruits, it produces a waste product called ethanol. This ethanol is a severe poison that directly shuts down our brain's control room. We lock up that toxic waste left by that fungus in barrels and let it rot for years. Then we pour it into crystal glasses and say cheers. The very thing our liver is screaming to throw out of the body, we celebrate that very poison. We have completely hacked the entire system of our biological alarm system. But the darkest part of this modern twist is not that we have started eating poison. The darkest part is something else entirely. For our ancestors, sweet taste was the safest. Sweet meant fruit. Sweet meant honey. Sweet meant calories and life. Bitter meant death. Today's multi-billion-dollar food industries know very well about this million-year-old software of yours. They have cracked this code. They know that the sweet alarm of your brain still searches for life today. That's why they have hidden the real poison in the taste that your brain trusts the most, sweetness. Today we are not dying from the bitter plants or raw fruits that our ancestors died from. Today, the biggest cause of human death are the things that are sweet, that come in packets. Refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup, ultra-processed foods. Food companies have bypassed your evolutionary lie detector. Millions of years ago, the brain that saw a sweet fruit and screamed life. Today, that same brain sees a cold drink in the supermarket and screams life. And we happily pour modern poison into our bodies. Cancer, diabetes, heart attacks. Today's poisons are not bitter. They are very sweet. Today, when you sit in a restaurant and look at a menu card, you feel that you only have options like, should I eat pizza, pasta, or butter chicken today? You have forgotten that the menu card is actually a survival manual. Just for a moment, time travel and go back to that cave. Sit next to your caveman great-grandfather. He's looking at you. He is looking at you in amazement. He is amazed that you don't have to risk your life every day to find food. He is amazed that you can eat anything without fear. But most of all, he would be amazed at the death, the poison, and the bitterness that he and his tribe sacrificed their lives to avoid. Today you are swallowing that same bitterness, that same pain, and that same poison down your throat for fun. And the sweetness that saved his life. Today, that same sweetness is slowly, silently killing you. We have not conquered nature. Nature has simply changed its game. Yesterday, our enemy was in the jungle. Today, our enemy is on our plate. So the next time you put a roasted cashew in your mouth, when you put a plate of kidney beans and rice in front of you, or when you take the first sip of your piping hot coffee in the morning, stop for a second, close your eyes, and say thank you to those thousands, millions of unknown and nameless humans who, in that dark jungle, without any Google and without any doctor, played the most terrifying Russian roulette just for your one safe bite today. They ate death so that today you could eat life.